The Tabletop Miniature Hobby Podcast is proud to be sponsored by Dr. Spork's 3D Terrain. From retro greenskin outposts to elven fortresses and obelisks, this is hands down the best nostalgic scenery you'll find out there, and all at stupidly reasonable prices. Check it out for yourself by heading over to bedroombattlefields.com/spork, that's SPORK, and turn your tabletop into a scene from White Dwarf circa 1994. Andy Chambers not included. Hello and welcome to the Tabletop Miniature Hobby Podcast. It's Matthew with you here. And in the spirit of these episodes, I thought I would just grab the phone and do it whilst I'm out on a wee walk, as many of you do when you submit your clips. So let's get straight in it. Let's find out what everyone's been up to throughout the month of May 2026.
Hello, Matthew and the Tabletop Miniature Hobby Podcast listeners. This is David, or Axe Annex, from the Discord and the Bad Internet Friends podcast, submitting my report, which covers the last 3 months, which were a slog of the last few months. Very rough. My hobby has been almost just nothing. So I've lived through the tales from other people, such as you good folks who submit every month. And I wanted to do the same. I want to catch up. Between listening to that hobby podcast as well as doing my own hobby podcast with Ivan Sorensen, that's it. That's all the hobby I've been doing. But I have been, I guess that's not quite true. I have been working on the BattleTech Hotspots Hinterlands Bestiary to use with BattleTech Aces. I finally decided on the starting force from the Alpha Strike starter box to begin with, because it just kept waffling as to which miniatures I really wanted to use, because they're all pretty cool. But I figured that gives me a pretty good point spread to use, with some pretty solid mechs of light and heavy, and even a dumb Atlas. Dumb Atlas with his dumb skull face. But yeah, so I'll get those guys painted up, continue working on the opposition forces, which is probably the funnest part, honestly. I really like doing the opposition forces painting, it's a lot of painting. So it's been a great project to slog through. I've been working on and playing 5 parsecs from home, Planetfall. My team is about half painted now. I get the other 4 done. And the first 2 games I played, which were last Saturday and Sunday, are the first 2 games I played any kind of miniatures game this year, which is bananas. It's been a terrible drought of wargaming for me mentally. I just can't bring myself to do it until recently. Yeah, the global campaign really got me kicked off, and I really had a lot of fun playing 5 parsecs from home Planetfall. It's a very vast system with a lot of cool things that, with the Hobby Homies global campaign, you're not really participating in like a lot of the minutia that you would be if you're playing on your own for Planetfall. But it's great to contribute with other folks. And if you want to participate in that, you just got to join their Patreon as a paid supporter, and then you get to jump in, and they'll do a few reports, I think, per month on the progress of the colony, and it's going to be a great time. And then finally, I have an upcoming game of Saga, which someone a while ago gave me some Scots-Irish dice because they wanted to try playing it, and they figured I was the kind of guy who should have Scots-Irish dice. And it's good by me. I built a force of Dark Age dudes, and I use them as Scots, and I played 1 game so far a while back, and it was a lot of fun. And the guy who arranged to have the game demoed has also said that he wants to play with me again. And he built up some Anglo-Saxons, or Anglo-Danes. I think he built Anglo-Danes, yeah. So we're going to scrap it out. Maybe I should name one of them Matthew. Yeah, this one's for Matthew. And, that's about it. This is my second run, actually, of this, because the first one, I didn't realize that I'd been nattering on so long that the timer had stopped. So this time I'll keep it a little bit shorter. And I'm really looking forward to everyone's stories. And thanks again, Matthew, for everything you do. Take care.
Hello, everyone. This is John, aka Lord Reaver in the Discord, calling all the way from Brazil to give you guys my hobby update. So May was a bit of a slow month, a lot of work to do, a lot of things to help with my family, and I didn't do as much as I want to. However, I did do some cool things first things first, I started painting some Marvel Crisis Protocol miniatures. It's a nice game. It's a nice skirmish game that I'm looking forward to play. It doesn't have a lot of narrative elements, but the rules are tight. Most important, the friends I've made that are interested in tabletop games enjoy it, and they are willing to learn and get the miniatures for it. So it's a win-win. I've start painting Kingpin and the Prowler, two villainous characters for the Criminal Syndicate team, and looking forward to finishing them. I have also started making some hex tiles with MDF discs, like hexagonal discs, and EVA foam. Probably gonna use them mostly for the Fantasy Trip RPG. I'm planning a campaign in Mordheim and the City of the Damned with the rules. And a lot of my friends groups are both my RPG groups actually are looking forward to it. So I'm very, very excited for that. It's really fun to make the tiles. I was actually expecting it would be boring, but it's not. I also start painting some ruined a ruined terrain piece actually that I had built quite a while back and never got around to painting it. It's a generic destroyed house that can go into any game really. I also just received on the mail a package of modern miniatures, like stalker type guys for Zone Alpha and post-apocalyptic games. And to top it all off, just today I managed to get in an auction a pretty rare RPG, the DC Mayfair Exponential game for superhero campaigns. So I'm excited for that too. I started the campaign with some of my friends using mutants and masterminds, but it was not working out very well. And I started looking at different systems. And hey, I found that auction, got my book at a very cheap price, and I'm excited to read it. Yeah, that's that for me. Have a good one.
Hello, everybody. This is Darren from Narad from the Discord, calling in from California. Kind of a quicker update this time. I've been being a player in a D&D game online, and while playing that is when I've been getting most of my hobby done. So it's just been kind of mostly once a week lately. But I've gotten a lot of paint. I've painted about 20 Oathmark elves are almost done right now. And the main takeaway or suggestion or tip from that is that I've been using these new speed paint pens. I've got two different kinds. I've got speed paint pens from Army Painter. They're just a couple of basic ones. I think they only have 4 colors, but red, brown, green, yellow, red, 2 browns has been really useful. And then I actually also have a 3 from AK, 3 AK pen, real colors markers. And the combination is actually pretty useful. And I've done these elves almost all with these pens. The speed paints from Army Painter are transparent, just like their speed paints, like contrast paint style. But then the AK AK real color markers are opaque. And so I've got like a gunmetal, silver, and black and a brown. I barely use the black, but I've been using the brown, and then the silver and the transparent. It's been a good combination. It's been a great way to paint when I'm painting kind of casually while also trying to like pay attention to a game. So yeah, they've kind of been particularly useful in that casual context. So check out these paint pens. Kind of neat. Then the only other thing I've done is I'm trying to participate in the global campaign that apparently is still going on. I played a game of Guards of Traitor's Toll, this new skirmish game, kind of funny little unique skirmish game with a bunch of cards. And that was neat. And I kind of shoehorned the story into having something to do with the global campaign that the wizards, an attack by a beastman shaman on the town or something like that. And that then the wizard Jeff came and stopped it, not the guards. And then kind of went crazy. And then I have a follow-up set up on the table here. I'm gonna have a little skirmish. I'm gonna try to do like a sub 1,000 point solo Oathmark game, and I have the table set up. I have all the miniatures on it, but I haven't had a chance to play it. I've been so tired at the end of the day every day. So there will be a second one for this month. Maybe tonight. Every night I think I'm gonna do it, but I've got some beastmen ambushing a caravan headed towards Manlinville, so a food raid. All right, that's enough of me rambling. Hope everybody's getting on. The global campaign thing has been really neat to check out, although I've been having a great time. Thanks, Matthew, as always, for the great podcast. Always enjoying it. All right, bye.
Good day, Bedroom Battlefields folks and Matthew. This is Josh in Massachusetts with the May 2026 hobby update. I've been pretty bad about posting on a regular basis with my updates, and so this goes back a few months. Overall, I've been struggling with getting projects completed. Things like the Broken Truths box set from One Page Rules arrived, and was all excited to work on those armies. People came back from Adepticon locally, excited to play Malediction by Loot Studios. I have friends getting back into War Machine after a long hiatus from playing that game. And I still have community members looking to play things like Conquest and Trench Crusade. So what I need to probably figure out how to do better is just pick one project at a time and work on it to completion. I thought that maybe posting on a regular basis here would help me focus and at least remember what I had said I was going to work on that month. But clearly that isn't holding me very accountable. And so I'm going to try this summer, maybe posting some work in progress forums or Discord posts and keep a little bit better track of what I said I would work on. I also probably should just do smaller bite-sized projects, maybe paint up a squad and a character instead of dedicating myself to trying to speed paint a whole army for something like One Page Rules, or maybe just painting up a new character for War Machine or for Trench Crusade would be good enough. I think this is something a lot of us struggle with. So if anybody has good advice on focusing and not getting distracted by the local community changing up their games, that would be all good to hear. Thank you again for the podcast, and keep up the good work with those of you who are more dedicated to finishing projects than I am.
Hi, it's Dave Crow here, back with another hobby update for the month of May. It's been a slower month hobby-wise this month because the boys have been doing their exams, so there's been a lot of revision going on. My primary gaming partner has therefore been out of commission, but exams all behind us now, so that's really good. Looking forward to getting some games in then. Been preparing for that with a game which has been written by our very own Polis. He has written a small sort of skirmish scale rank and flank game, which he calls Bands of Bastards. For the purposes of my own gaming with my son, we might not be leaning too heavily into that particular theme, but it's not going to stop us. We've got 3 bands on the go: dwarves, undead, and goblins. So with Carrick Sport campaign on the go, we certainly shall have lots of opportunities to get those guys on the table and play test the game for them. So looking forward to that. Got some sheets all drawn up and been looking over the rules. Looking forward to getting a chance at sort of seeing how it plays and giving Paul some feedback on that. So that's going to be good. Other thing I've been up to this month has been a wee bit of sculpting. Haven't pushed the putty around for a wee while, so getting back into that's been fun. I have sculpted a dwarf, battle standard bearer, and troll slayer. So probably get another wee wireframe on the cork and have another go at doing another one. I think they're going all right. So that's been fun. A wee bit trickier, kind of doing like... I've previously done a lot of animals for Burrs and Badgers, and to be honest, it's very forgiving because you're not trying to do like a sort of human style face. Even like dwarfs are very forgiving with all the facial hair they've got going on, so you're kind of getting a slightly safer halfway house with that. But yeah, definitely find it trickier to do that without them coming out looking altogether weird. I really wouldn't want to try like an elf. Certainly, humans and elves and anything that's, not really meant to be like grotesque and comically funny, like an orc or a goblin or something, certainly is a harder prospect to get right. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting those painted up. I've been painting up some more of my dwarf goat riders as well. I had painted like half of them, I think, before, but I've got some more that I never did finish because I don't particularly love painting those models much, but it's good to have a project like this that gets things, back out of the almost finished pile and a bit closer to over the line. So that's pretty much been all I've been painting this month. I don't think there's been much else. Painting and sculpting, yeah. So the only other thing I think I've been working on this month, hobby-wise, has been recording the final episode of The Adventures of Smirking on Grotcast, which, after I got the initial kind of narration part recorded, I sort of just started blatantly procrastinating on it and messing around with like music breaks and just not, doing the final edit down. So I've been chipping away at that. And I think probably what it is that I don't really know what the next story I'm going to do is. I want to do one that was like a writing collaboration called Give It Your Best Grot. But I haven't written an ending for it yet. I don't want to start recording a thing that I don't know where it's going, or I don't know that it has a satisfying, like, good conclusion, because I don't want to leave it sort of hanging. So I suppose if you are someone who enjoys writing like 40K Gretchen fiction, like, does anyone else write that? I don't know. Give me a buzz and, write a short episode of the Give It Your Best Grot story. And that's sure to kind of inject the thing with a bit more enthusiasm to push it over the line towards hopefully satisfying conclusion. I don't really know what else to do with it. I've been stuck on like a writer's block on it for ages now. It's a weird wee story, but they all are. So anyway, that's how it goes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what everybody else has been up to. And thanks for the pod, everyone, and for the community. And I'll talk to you all again next month. Cheers.
Hi, Matthew. It's George. George Paints on Discord and Old Hammer and Tongs over on YouTube. It's been a little while since I've put an update across onto the podcast, but very sadly, my dad died in March, which completely rocked me. And I've had moments of thinking that maybe I'm just not going to bother with the hobby anymore amidst all of this. But it keeps on pulling through, and it really, really has proved to be the most wonderful escape and therapy. I mean, I know this has been talked about an awful lot, but it's been quite interesting to see for myself firsthand how positive it can be. So I'd signed up to the Old World Army Challenge at the end of last year for this year, thinking maybe I shouldn't do that given all of the health stuff going on, but went for it anyway. And I'm just so glad that I did, because I've been busy painting up Rogue Trader Imperial Guard Army based on that brilliant John Blanche artwork that first came out with the plastic box set. I think it was released in 1989. So basically just wave upon wave of guardsmen with flags flying, all marching closely packed together very slowly, totally inappropriate for any kind of modern warfare. But painting that has been a total joy, having something so sort of positive and totally different to focus on. And remarkably, I've managed to stay in the challenge. It's one of those where if you miss a month, you can pull a mulligan. But if you miss 2 months and don't paint anything, don't hit your quota of 10 miniatures, then you're out. But I have remarkably managed to stick with it. So I think I've painted about 50 of these guardsmen so far, with more to come. And I've loved it. I really, really have. Throwing myself into that project and just having an hour or two where all I think about is whether or not the grey highlight is really working, or whether I'm going to have time to do any of the detail within that month to make the cutoff. And then having this wonderful thing to look at the end of it, this sort of growing Imperial Guard regiment. So, it really has been a reminder of how good and important the hobby is, certainly for me, and I think for others too. So I do apologise for my absence with these updates and also on Discord, but I'm hoping to become a bit more of a regular once again. So thank you so much for producing this brilliant podcast for us, keeping this wonderful community of incredible people together. And I'm really looking forward to hearing everyone else's updates. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello, Matthew. Hello, Bedroom Battlefields crew. Another month, and some painting has been done, as I'm sure you've seen on the Discord. My Goliath Necromunda gang is mostly done. A few more to paint and a few more to acquire, I'm sure. But they are ready to go, and hopefully I'll be playing with my sons a game most likely next week. I did have some assistance with painting my Goliaths. Bella, do you want to say what you painted? Oh, you got to speak if you want.
And I have a princess zombie, but she's actually this Princess Buttercup, but I painted her like a princess zombie.
And a beautiful job you've done of it too. I will post a picture of her. But you also helped me paint the base rims on my Goliaths. Was that fun? So utterly thrilling that she just doesn't have the words for it. But yes, it was a bit of progress. And now I'm trying to figure out what to paint next. But yes, I'm going to leave all this in. This is wonderful. But yes, I look forward to hearing what everyone else has been painting. I think the next thing on the list will be some Adeptus Arbites. Till next time.
The Minigamer is a free weekly email newsletter where I curate 5 cool things that caught my eye in the hobby this past week. Subscribe today and have the next edition sent straight to your inbox by going to bedroombattlefields.com/email. That's bedroombattlefields.com/email. And now back to the show.
I'm Matthew Martin here in Hampshire, responding to your request for hobby updates. What are we playing, planning for, and painting? Not a lot has changed in my own hobby world. I'm still doing some 28mm M4 Orcs. I've managed to finish 30 of the Archers, which has been a bit of a struggle, but I got there. And I've also started painting some 15mm Polynesians for an August DBA event coming up in Gloucestershire. Generally, though, it's been a bit too hot in the shed of painting, so only occasional bouts of painting have taken place. Did manage some gaming recently. Went to a DBA matched pairs event in London last weekend, which was fun. Lots of weird and wonderful pairs of armies turned up at that one. I've also went to a Dragon Rampant tournament in Nuneaton. Quite a long day out, that one, but got 4 games in, and it was lots of fun, as always. The Coventry Scimitars run that one, and they're a nice bunch of people. Most recently, I ran a solo double-sized DBA game for a blogger in Ireland who runs a collaborative campaign. He's got a semi-historical mythical world, which he runs the world, and we, the solo gamers, get to fight out the battles for him. This one involved a breakaway province being brought back into the fold by government forces. The blog involved is Projects and Procrastination. We're up to 18 years of it so far, so it's going really well. All sorts of different games being played in that one. Next up, once the weather eases off, there'll be some more 15mm painting when I get the chance. There's a Hordes of the Things tournament coming up in Bristol on the 21st of June, which is Father's Day UK. So I'm going to go to that one. That should be good for a giggle. It's being run by the Lincoln Barn Wargame Society. They always make it a good day out. Anyway, thanks for all the blogs and podcasts. Looking forward to other people's updates. Cheers for now.
Hi Matthew, it's Keith from Sussex here, just calling in with my hobby update. I called in for the first time last month and spoke about making and painting up Ossiarch Bone Reapers for my Advanced Hero Quest campaign that I was about to get back into after a long period of time. The game went well, not so much for me as the Dungeon Master. No heroes were killed, unfortunately, and I think I might have to up the ante for the next quest. When that'll happen, who knows, with life being busy. For me at the moment, it's flat out because I'm a gardener, so I have been doing a lot of watering in this hot weather, and my hobby has got very slow this month. I have made a start on the enemies for the next Advanced Hero Quest campaign, which is going to be some demonettes. I've got a few classic old school ones from the late 80s from my childhood set, and I'm going to mix in a few of the new modern GW ones as well. So it's a case of I've got a few made up and the old ones cleaned up. So hopefully get onto painting them at some point soon. But yeah, the summer's always a bit slow for me with the hobby. But I promised I'd keep updated, so there we go. Still haven't got onto the Discord. That's something I really ought to look at, but it's still not happened. Anyway, thanks for the great podcast and look forward to hear what everyone else has been up to.
Good day, everyone. Mark Snacklewolf from the Discord calling in. Not a lot of hobby in the last 4 weeks because I'm preparing for my son's wedding, getting ready to travel to the beautiful California beaches just north of Santa Cruz. I'm definitely excited, but when I return, I'm going to dive more into gaming and hobby time and lean back into regular life. I have worked on my unit of Lannister Halberdiers. This is for the Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game. Just getting back into it. We have a lovely community here, a large community, and simply put, I want to see those people more often at the table. They're friends I want to spend time with, and it's just a fine game, a very well done system. So I've nearly completed 8 of the 12 models. You may think that's odd to not do the whole unit at once, but 8 is my sweet spot model count number for assembly line painting. If I try to do more, I tend to not enjoy the process. It may sound totally inefficient, but I found that I paint faster, even in relatively small batches such as this. So I'll complete 2 sets, 16 models, faster and with more enjoyment than I would if doing 12 at once. I recall how excited I was to paint my 20 Noblars for Warhammer Fantasy decades ago as a new wargamer. I had them all lined up, 2 rows of 10, and I just couldn't complete them. It's good to know that perfect amount for me. It took a while to discover it and accept it, and I'm curious what your number is for 28 to 32 millimeter models. I will post this completed group and the entire unit later as well with the tray textured too, as some added eye candy for your day as soon as they are done, the minute they're done. For now, I have some packing to do for a very meaningful weekend. So cheers to you and yours from Central California.
Hello, Matthew. It's Ed here from Sussex and the Discord, just calling in with my May hobby update. So in terms of hobby painting and creation, this month has been back to the rat. I've got a unit of 37 clan rats that I've been working on and are come together quite nicely. Just got the basing to do on them, but I'm having a little bit of a break from that, trying to do some other fun things just to keep the motivation going, and I'll come back and have a slog through goblin greening up and flocking a whole big unit of clan rats before boil. So as I say, I wanted to move on to something a little bit more fun, and so I have a secret project which must remain secret, or at least somewhat secret. Those of you who are on the Discord and are attackers will be able to see what I'm working on. Everyone else, you're going to have to just wait. The surprise will become more clear once we get to boil. But yeah, the Skaven are plotting, the Skaven are planning, and as such, I have to do some hobby stuff to facilitate those things happening, which is always fun. Outside of Rats, I've been playing Blood Bowl. Won my first 2 games of the league, which is great. I've got another game coming up this coming Sunday against Nurgle. So I'm lying. I didn't win my first 2 games. I drew my first game and won my second game. But, sometimes a draw feels like a win. But either way, I'm sitting currently second in the league, and I'm going up against first place. So that'll be a fun, challenging game to play. And I've also got in a little bit of Space Hulk. Been playing Space Hulk with a friend of mine, slowly working our way through campaign using 2nd edition Space Hulk, and we're having a great time. So that's really it. That's my hobby updates, and look forward to hearing what everyone else has been up to.
Massive thanks to everyone who submitted a clip there throughout the month of May 2026. And you could submit a clip for the next Hobby Progress and Accountability episode. You could do that by going to bedroombattlefields.com/voicemail and get them in before whatever month it is you happen to be listening in. So you'll have heard there, the last clip that we played was from Ed, who was referencing Bring Out Your Lead, the upcoming Oldhammer gathering in Newark in August. And as some of you might know already, Bring Out Your Lead has since been cancelled for 2026 because the Foundry premises, there's a bit of unknown about the availability of the premises, because Foundry, who've always hosted the event, they are looking to move, and I guess they simply can't guarantee that whatever premises it is, whether existing or wherever they're moving to, I guess they can't guarantee that that's going to be available. So this had been known amongst everyone. It was made very clear by Garth and the other organisers that it might not go ahead. So he was keen to advise that if you're going to book anything, make sure you could get a refund and all this stuff. But there was also talk that it would be postponed until October, and they have confirmed now that that isn't going to happen. So the next Bring Out Your Lead is now going to be in 2027, assuming that Foundry have all their premises stuff sorted out and the move has happened and they're all settled in. So yeah, it's a real shame that won't go ahead, but again, totally understandable. There's just nothing anyone could really do about it. But the good news is that there are already some bootleg Boyle events popping up. So if you would still like to travel to the Lead Belt in August, then there will be events taking place. It just won't be Boyle. It won't be the official Bring Out Your Lead event. So one particular event that I'll highlight at this moment is Boyle Gets, which has been organised by Jason, Mark, Ed and a few others in the Bedroom Battlefields community. They have hired a room at the Navigation Inn in Nottingham, and that is Friday the 7th and Saturday the 8th of August 2026. So these were 2 dates that would have been part of the original Boyle. The only difference really is they're not doing the Sunday. So the Friday and the Saturday, and in the Navigation Inn in Nottingham, which looks a really, really nice pub, they're going to be doing a massive game of Warhammer Fantasy. Would you expect anything less? So that is the big game that Jason and the lads were hoping to pull off at Boyle. But yeah, they'll basically move it there and the game will go ahead. And that's the culmination of the global narrative participation campaign. We did an episode on that a couple of months ago, and it might even be something that you yourself are involved in. But that's really good to see that is going ahead. And then Brother Meredith from the community, I saw that he's been keeping tabs on a couple of other bootleg Boyle events that are potentially going to be taking place in the area on that weekend, I'm sure, as well. And he's keeping a record of those on the Oldhammer forum. So I'll put a wee link to that in the show notes. So if you were planning to go to Boyle you might still be able to go. It's not the official Boil as we know it. It's just some other events that are going to take place instead, and I'm sure there'll be excellent events. You know, as much as I think we'd all prefer to have been together at Boil as it's been for the past few years, these events I'm sure will be fantastic in their own right. So best place really to check is get involved in the Bedroom Battlefields Discord. You could do that at bedroombattlefields.com/Discord, because we've got a channel in there about Boil, and you know, all of these replacement events will be talked about in there, and you could register your interest and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, bedroombattlefields.com/Discord is the best place to keep up with this stuff going forward. So as for the old hobby progress on my front, what have I been up to now? Speaking of Boil, I got a Demonette of Slaanesh from David from the Discord community a couple of years ago. He very kindly brought that over when he visited from America and gave it to me, and I just got round to painting that recently, which was really nice. It was a good old, as I say so often, palette cleanser. I've never painted one of those before, and yeah, pretty simple colour scheme on it. I mean, that's all I could do is simple colour schemes, but just painted her in a night, and also did the official Boil miniature, I think from 2025. So it was 2024, was that the Brian Ansell Chaos Sorcerer one? And then last year was the Hive Vampire, I'm sure. So it was the Hive Vampire that I painted. Put some paint on him as well. Great miniature. And yeah, again, simple, one evening, bit of contrast paint here and there, and I'm really happy with how that came up. So did those two. I finished She-Ra, Princess of Power, which was a nice model to paint. That's for the Masters of the Universe game. It's quite rare for me to paint a plastic model, but I mean, in the end, is there much difference once the undercoat's on? I'm not sure. I guess like experienced painters or artists would probably argue yes there is, but to me, like, paint's paint and a brush is a brush, because I'm an uncultured charlatan. But yeah, did her. What was the other one? A Chaos Space Raider from Nightmare. One of those guys. They're brilliant models, proper like old Rogue Trader-y feel to them. So painted one of those. And I think next up for me is a 15mm Orc Shaman and his bodyguard for my 15mm Orc and Goblin army. That's next on the painting table for me. So painting's been really slow for me recently. I've not done a lot of it. So I've been moving out of my work office. Unfortunately, I'm being made redundant from my job, if there's any other way to be made redundant. Redundant's such a horrible term, isn't it? I think it means like useless, of no use. So I'm being made useless as if I had some sort of use before, which means moving out of my office. My work have always paid for me to have a little office so I could work outside the house. And like any good hobbyist would do, I had a gaming table and a lot of miniatures in my wee office, and that was really handy for, you know, if I was like play testing something I was making, or doing a solo game, or like having Callum round for a game of Hobgoblin, or you know, anything else. I basically, like, I could set things up the day before, I could leave them set up. So it was really, really handy on that front. You know, aside from the whole losing the job thing, losing a hobby space is not great either. So again, first world problems, I know, but I've been moving out of there, and it's one of them where, like, I'm bringing home loads of stuff, and the wife's like, what is all this? And I'm like, well, you know, because, you know, all the hobby stuff you think I had, that wasn't even all of it. Here is all of it. So yeah, I've been bringing stuff home. I've been trying to make everything fit into the glass cabinets that I've got for my miniatures. It's not a big cabinet, and I've, like, you know, it's choker now because I've been painting pretty regularly since like 2018, which that's not a kick in the balls of 10 years now. So it's a fair amount of stuff I've got through. and these cabinets are ram jam, but looking at it like in a positive way, when I look at all the stuff that I've not just stuff I've bought, I mean stuff I've like bought, built, painted, and it's table ready, I have pretty much like the full collection that I really need for all the games that I play and all the games I potentially could play. So I'm in quite a good position on that front. Like I obviously will continue to paint stuff and buy stuff now and then, but in the main I don't really buy that much, and I've still got like, you know, a reasonable amount of stuff in drawers that is unpainted that I could chip away at. But I don't really feel like I'm in any hurry with it. I don't feel like I need to get stuff done in order to play a certain game or that. And to me, that feels like quite a good place to be, especially because like for a good 2.5 years, I guess, I painted up 3 15mm armies, and I always felt like, you know, once I get these done, that's me ready for all the games. And now I've got everything painted, and it's getting in the games that are the tricky part. And I think most people are in the same situation. It's the playing that is the hardest for us to execute. And you know, the year did start pretty well. Like I got a few games in with Callum. He very kindly came through and visited me in the wee Bedroom Battlefields office, and I think we almost always played Hobgoblin, which is a really enjoyable game. But yeah, nothing booked in at the moment just because of the whole situation. I reckon the next time we do manage to play something, we're going to meet. There's a couple of places Callum's aware of that's geographically right between where we both live, so kind of equal times for us to drive there. So we will get something sorted, but it's just a really busy period now with everything that's going on, having to find a job and all that, and I'm still wanting to keep the podcast going out, keep the newsletter going out. I don't want to interrupt anything on that front, but I've just found it's been a busy period, combined with like at the summer as well. Like we've had a recent wee spell of good weather and just don't really want to be inside as much as well. Oh, there goes my pal in the lorry. So yeah, don't really want to be inside as much at this time of year either. Find myself outdoors a lot more, and that obviously means less hobby stuff too. So yeah, that's just a general ramble about where I'm at the moment. So I guess I'll leave it at that. That is sort of my hobby update for May 2026. And like I say, if you want to submit a clip for the next episode, the next hobby accountability episode at the end of June, you could do so by going to bedroombattlefields.com/voicemail. Alright, thanks as always for listening. Thanks to everyone who submitted a clip this month, and we'll chat again on the next one.